Hey guys, welcome back to How Many People Can I Piss Off Today? I was watching My 600 Pound Life and I really love this show. I don't really know why, I love people. But one of the recurring themes I seem to notice with this show is that a lot of the people who are that morbidly obese have been sexually abused at some point in their life, either as a child or, just some point in their life. And sometimes they'll go see therapists, sometimes they'll talk to people, or they'll just be talking out loud to the camera in general, and they'll mention, what happened to them and why they started eating in the first place. And the people always tell them that they need to learn how to forgive. They need to learn how to forgive themselves, and they need to learn how to forgive that other person that did that to them. And I just started screaming on the inside, obviously, because I'm not just going to start screaming at my TV. I'm sure my dogs would not appreciate that. I hate that. Fucking stop telling people that, because they're not ready to forgive, especially when they're that deep into whatever addiction that they're having at that moment, because that is their main coping skill, is to use that addiction to cope with that huge trauma. So when you're telling somebody to forgive something and let it go, is really causing more trauma to them, because you're basically saying, oh, well, yeah, well, it's just for you, it's so you can get better, and you forgiving them isn't really about them, it's about you letting go and everything. And that really is shit advice. Speaking as a person who has previously said this to other people, that is shit advice, because you're not really focusing on the real issue at hand. The real issue is they don't know how to deal with the initial trauma that happened, and everything that keeps happening in their life now, be it stress with work, stress with kids, stress with their family, stress because they feel bad, stress because their joints hurt because of whatever's going on. They're not dealing with it. They're not able to deal with it. So forgiveness and anger, by the way, are byproducts of whatever has actually happened. Another show is Hoarders that really bothers me, because they get really, really angry at these people, and they just take away all their stuff, and sometimes it's county ordered because there's, huge sanitary issues and all that stuff, and I totally get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it. But again, you are causing more trauma than what you are helping with, because basically what is going on is they have a wound that they have not healed and do not know how to heal. And sometimes it's so painful of a wound that they can't even get close to touching it. It hurts that bad. Think of it this way. If somebody had a huge gaping hole in their chest from getting shot with a shotgun, I always picture in my head Death Becomes Her, that movie where they have a big old hole straight through her chest. Imagine somebody having a huge wound like that in a hospital, and the doctor says, oh, let's just rip these bandages off. You just need to feel better. What? A doctor would never say that. A doctor would never do that to their patient. Why? Because when you have a gaping wound like that, especially if it is an oozing, blood flowing out of the wound type situation, obviously they're going to say, we need to heal this wound before we do anything else. We need to stop the blood flow, and then we need to get them better. We need to protect against infections. We need to protect against any more wounds happening. Put them in the hospital, whatever it is. Put them on an oxygen machine. Put them in a coma so their body can heal. Why can't we do that with emotions? Why can't we do that with people's emotional bodies? And yeah, they really are two separate things to me, but they're just as important as each other. They really are. And when you tell somebody, oh, just forgive it, just let it go, oh, just get over it, even if it's something small, you're just saying, keep bleeding, it's fine. Just the more you focus on being positive, the better you're gonna feel. And that's not true. And that's a good way to make somebody dive further into their addiction, or a good way to get them to commit suicide later on. And if you think that I'm being harsh with you, I am. And I'm sorry, but this needs to be said. It's okay not to forgive yet. And yeah, I get it. Forgiveness is really about you on the inside. Sure. But those are byproducts of the work that you can do on yourself. You need to identify that emotional wound. What is going on with it? Let's just use my 600-pound life, for example. What is happening is, especially for women, this is like really huge in particular, but it does apply to men too. It does happen with men too. When they are molested, when they are attacked, whatever, especially at a young age, them eating is a way for them to make themselves appear more unattractive, to create a barrier, even a physical barrier between themselves and that other person that hurt them, and against other people who might do that to them in the future. They're subconsciously trying to protect themselves from ever having that happen again. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work. It just doesn't. So what they're doing is they don't know how to deal with being molested. And that's a hard thing to deal with, especially when it's not in your control. So your brain is trying to pull your emotional body out of that powerless feeling and saying, well, I can take control back, I can gain weight, that's how I can do this, or I can just stop talking to people, I can go by myself, I can go do whatever. They're going to avoid dealing with that problem. They're going to avoid that pain because it hurts so much. It's really hard to touch wounds. It hurts. And for a lot of people, they don't know how to do that. Think of it this way. We have counselors, aka emotional body doctors, that can help you to deal with that. You wouldn't go to, at least me, I wouldn't go to my mom, who's a homemaker, who's really great at lots of things, but I wouldn't go to her and saying, hey, I cut my arm off with this saw over here. Can you put my arm back on? Can you stitch it back together? Can you give me all this medicine? Why? Because she's not a doctor. So find somebody who can be that emotional doctor for you. Find somebody on YouTube. Find a counselor, a licensed professional. And guess what? Not all of licensed professionals are created equally. I myself have gone through multiple therapists until I found one that worked for me. So if you find a person, even if they are licensed and they don't work for you, they don't work for you. Find one that does, but don't give up. One of the ways that you can start dealing with those traumas is by talking about it. And it's super, super scary. And it's okay if you're not ready to do that like immediately. But start taking baby steps. Go on Google and see if there's any support groups, any chat groups online, to see people that have gone through the same thing as you, and say, well, I might not be ready to talk about it to like a real human, but maybe I can use a fake name like Anonymous Jane 101, and you can talk to them about it and open up about it. They don't have to know who you are in order to be able to help. A lot of people have gone through this. You're not alone. You're not alone, and this pain won't be forever. So go out, talk to people, do whatever you gotta do, but don't give up. Because what is gonna happen is, yeah, sure, forgiveness is great. It's absolutely great. But you're gonna cause yourself more pain by feeling guilty about, oh, I haven't forgiven this person yet. Oh, I haven't forgiven myself for whatever I've done. That will happen naturally as a side effect of you working on your trauma and learning how to deal with that. Because until you figure out how to resolve that trauma in your mind, that trauma is going to replay over and over and over again and manifest in different ways in your life over and over and over again. So if you're telling yourself, well, I can't deal with it because I don't want to deal with it anymore. I don't want to. It's been so much. It's been so painful. I can't deal with it anymore. You're already dealing with it. You're already living it over and over again. You know it. That's why it keeps popping up when you don't want to think about it. That's why you can't stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. That's why you can't stop hiding. That's why you can't stop putting more clothes on. That's why you can't stop doing all these other things. It's because you're not ready. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you not being ready to forgive. There's nothing wrong with you being scared. That is real. That is valid. But there is something you can do. And it's okay if you don't know how. There are people out there who do know how. You are not alone. Don't give up. You're worth it. Stop feeling guilty for not forgiving somebody else or for not forgiving yourself. You're not ready. That's okay. They're not ready. That's okay. So I challenge you to figure out what you can do in order to start the process of learning how to deal with it. Because whatever happened is not going to go away. Your pain is not going to go away. The only way to make it go away is by diving into it, accepting it for what it is and saying, you know what, I'm not okay, I'm pissed off, I'm pissed the crap off, or I'm just so crushed, I'm exhausted, whatever it is. Dive into that feeling. Don't run away from it. Say, this is real, this is valid, this is what I'm going through. Now what can I do about it? I love you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Take care. Bye.